Hello everyone. In this second class of mathematical logic, we will learn few important things. First one is paradox. Paradox are those kind of sentence which are proved contradiction. That means we can't say whether it is true or false. So this is one thing, and second one is different kind of proposition. For example, converse, contrapositive, implication, logical equivalent, and last one is equally important. That means we have to know the precedence or preference rule for any logical connectives. Hello friends, in this second video of mathematical logic we will discuss about different kind of paradox. So what is paradox? Paradox are those kind of sentence which are true as well as false. That means like proposition we can't conclude any direct result. So around late 19th century, the discovery of non-Euclidean geometry and rigorous development of calculus, higher analysis revived the basic interest in mathematical logic. So what is paradox? The word paradox comes from the Latin word para, which means contrary, and the doxon means opinion. That means we are contradicting our opinion. That's why paradox are those kind of sentence which are true as well as false. So that idea paradox originated in the year 15,000. So gradually we will discuss one by one paradox. First one is very known result, that is Russell's paradox. So in the year 1909, Barton Russell proposed a famous version of this paradox, which I will state later. Initially, what is Russell's paradox? Suppose consider a set S, the set of all sets which do not contain themselves. So suppose in the first case S contains itself, then by the definition of S it doesn't contain itself. Therefore, rejecting the supposition A, we can prove the second case, that is S does not contain itself, but then by definition S does contain itself. That means B and C will imply a proved contradiction. That means in B we have said S does not contain itself, but in C we are saying that S does contain itself. So that means this is clearly a contradiction. And the famous version of this paradox is known as, suppose the barber in a certain village shapes all and only those persons in the village who do not shape themselves. So the question is that, does he shave himself? So this is very interesting paradox. Now in this class we will learn more about paradox. Already we have talked about Russell's paradox. Second one is the liar paradox. So suppose a man says I am lying. So if he is lying, then what he says is true, and so he is not lying. That means he is saying the truth one. But if he is not lying, then what he says is true, and so he is lying. So in any case, he is lying and he is not lying. That's why this is known as liar paradox. Third one is Lopes paradox. This is very interesting. Suppose let A be any sentence and B be another sentence which states that if this sentence is true, then A. So that means we are depending on A. Sorry, we are depending on B. If this sentence is true, then A. So B asserts if B is true, then A. Now consider the following argument. Suppose we are assuming B is true. Then by the definition of B, since B is true, then obviously A will hold. This argument shows that if B is true, then A. But this is exactly what B asserts. Hence, B is also true. Therefore, by B, since B is true, A is true. That means every sentence is true. So that means we can conclude whether it is true or false. That's why this is Lopes paradox, not proposition. This is a paradox. Fourth one is very practical example, that is known as lottery paradox. If there is one winning ticket in a large lottery, it is reasonable to believe of any particular lottery ticket that it is not the winning ticket, but it is not reasonable to believe that no lottery ticket will win. That means among large number of tickets, someone something will be the winning ticket, but it is not reasonable to believe that no lottery ticket will win. That's why this is a paradox. And what is last one? Last one is known as Hilbert Barnes paradox. This is totally dependent on number theory. If there was a name for a natural number that is identical to the name of a successor of that number, there would be a natural number equal to its successor. Now, what is logical equivalence? That means we are considering two sentences of propositional logic. For example, shy and phi. So those are called logically equivalent if for each truth assignment applied to those components of phi and shy and phi, the resulting truth values are identical. For example, we are considering two sentences. If John sings, then everyone is happy. And if someone is unhappy, then John doesn't sing. So these two sentences have same kind of meaning. That's why these are logically equivalent. But if we consider another pair of sentence, Tom and Jerry are friends and Tom and Jerry are neighbors, those are not logically equivalent because friendship and neighborhoodness are not similar thing. So that's why two sentences are called logically equivalent if their corresponding truth assignments are identical. Now next one is, what is implication? That means there will be some condition. So the conditional statement or implication asserts that the truth of the hypothesis, that means assumption, implies the truth of the conclusion. So a conditional statement has the form if P then Q, or we say P implies Q. That means here we are using this arrow connective to express the proposition P implies Q. The only way this doesn't happen is if P is true and Q is false. So what is the clear cut meaning? P implies Q should be true whenever negation of P and not Q is true. So for example, if we think about the result of real analysis, then that will be very clear. If f is a differentiable at a point A, then it's continuous at that point A. This is very known result in calculus. So here antecedent or hypothesis is that f is differentiable at A. And what is the consequence or conclusion? Conclusion is f is continuous. That means if differentiability holds, then continuity will hold. So now, suppose at the beginning of this course, your teacher is telling you that if you do your homework, then you will pass. So that means there is a condition. If you do your homework, then you will pass. So it can be written as P implies Q, where P denotes the proposition you do your homework. And what is Q? Q means you will pass. So what will be the corresponding truth table? So we have to explain it very carefully. That means the issue is that if you do your homework, then you will pass. So if you did your homework and passed the course, then your teacher told the truth. But again, if you did your homework but you failed the course, then your teacher is a liar. Suppose you didn't do your homework. In that case, your teacher didn't tell you anything. So that means if you do your homework, then you will pass. He said such thing. But if you didn't do your homework, then what will happen? He didn't tell anything. So consequently, you can't call him or her a liar. Hence, if you didn't do your homework, the conditional statement will be considered as true whatever you passed or didn't pass the course. So that means the following truth table will be applicable for any kind of conditional, proposition or logical implication. That means in the first two columns we will assign the values of P and Q. That means there will be four choice: true, 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 false. false true, false false, and correspondingly in the third column we will get the truth assignment for implication. That means that will be true, false, true, true. That means when both P and Q are false, then implication will be true. So P is a sufficient condition for Q, or Q is a necessary condition for P. That means truth statements proofs are true statement, true statements can't prove a false statement, and false statement can prove any kind of statement. These are basic ingredients of logical implication. Now next one is biconditional statement. That means this is the case of if and only if. So in mathematics we are very familiar with this term if and only if. The phrase if and only if means that two propositions are equivalent. That means alternative ways of saying the same thing. So a biconditional statement has the form P if and only if Q. That means if P is true then Q, and the vice versa will also true. So here we use the double-headed arrow connective to express the proposition P implies and implied by Q. So consider an example, the cricket match will be cancelled if and only if it is either windy or raining. And also consider another example, a finite group G is cyclic if and only if it has an element which has the same order as that of the group itself. So these are very practical examples. So what will be the truth table of these biconditional statements? So in the first two columns we will assign truth assignment, that means true true, true false, false true, and false false. That means there are four choices. And in the last column we will get true, false, false, true. That means when both are true then the value will be true, when both are false then value will be true. Now next one is converse of a proposition. So converse of a proposition is such one in which the role of hypothesis and the conclusion are reversed. That means converse of P implies Q is the conditional statement Q implies P. That means hypothesis of the original implication is interchanged by its conclusion. So note that the original implication and in converse are not logically equivalent at all. For example, consider this statement: if two triangles are congruent, then they are similar. Then what will be its converse statement? If two triangles are similar, then they are congruent. But these are not logically equivalent. So clearly from this two given truth table, we can check that P implies Q and Q implies P. They are not logically equivalent at all. Now next one is contrapositive. So contrapositive of a implication is obtained by first interchanging the hypothesis and the conclusion of original implication and taking their negations. That means contrapositive of an implication P implies Q is the conditional not Q implies not P. We can say that the contrapositive of P implies Q is not Q implies not P. So a conditional statement and the contrapositive statements, those are logically equivalent. This is very clear from the following table. So in the first two columns we are assigning P and Q. Next we are getting P implies Q, that means implication. And in the fourth and fifth column we are assigning the values corresponding to negation Q and negation P. And finally we are getting negation Q implies negation P. So for example, if we consider the following implication that if it rains, the streets get wet. So what will be its contrapositive? The contrapositive statement will be if streets are not wet, it didn't rain. So if it rains, then streets get wet. So if streets are not wet, that means it didn't rain. Now next we have to learn the precedence of operator. So for example, how do we parse this statement? So there are different kind of operators in this given statement. So what will be the first preference among them? So operator precedence for the propositional logics are as follows. Initially we have to consider negation, then add, next or, then implication, and finally biconditional, that means if and only if. So all operators are right associative, and we can use parenthesis to avoid the ambiguation. So clearly according to the given preference, first we will focus on negation. That means negation of x will be first covered by the brackets. Next we will move into the and. That means the last one, y and z. Next we will move into or. That means we have to cover up y or z, x or y and z. So that's why in the third case we are giving two brackets, and finally we are considering the implication. That means finally we are connecting y or z and x or y and z. That means the final bracket will come for the last one, implication. So these are the basic preference or precedence rule for any logical operators.